This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, and our broadcast affiliates right across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, Australia, Asia, Africa, India, and Europe. If you'd like to give us a call, our toll-free number is 1-800-610-7035. That's 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is Chelsey Murphy. And Chelsey is the Public Relations Manager for Experience Colorado Springs at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Ms. Murphy coordinates media and community relations for the CVB. This includes proactively generating awareness and interest in Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region as a leisure, business, and event destination. She also is the tourist examiner for the Colorado Springs edition. And joining us is Chelsey Murphy. We're going to be talking about the great state of Colorado, specifically Colorado Springs, and what people can do there. And do you know, X-Zone Nation, there's a very, very paranormal connection here. And first of all, Chelsey, welcome to the X-Zone. Great having you with us.
Thanks so much, Rob. Happy to be here.
Chelsey, can you tell us a little bit about Colorado Springs and the Pikes Park region or Peak region?
Yeah, Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region is actually the second largest city in the state of Colorado, and a lot of people don't realize this, but we're just about 60 miles south of Denver, so we're very close. We're a very large metropolitan city, just, some great things in the area, 50 attractions and activities, 300 days of sunshine. It's just an amazing place to be.
300 days of sunshine?
That is correct.
Wow. Now I know where I'm going to go for my next holiday. Tell me, have you always had an interest in the paranormal, things that go bump in the middle of the night, ghost hauntings, UFOs and such?
I definitely have, and obviously those things have more of a presence around Halloween, but the more research I've done, there's just a lot of presence here in Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region, and I'm a native, and I didn't always know about it, so the more that I learn, the more interest I do have in the paranormal.
We have to take a commercial break in about a minute from now, but tell me, the people in Colorado, are they superstitious? Do they believe in the unknown?
I definitely think so, because a lot of the places that we're going to talk about really cater to the people looking for the paranormal. So they definitely are tapped into it and want to showcase what they have to residents and visitors. So I definitely think that they really want to showcase what they have.
All right, you and I are going to take that 2-minute commercial break that I was telling you about a little while ago. Chelsey, please stand by. Chelsey Murphy is our special guest. She is with the Colorado Springs. She is the Public Relations Manager for Experience Colorado Springs at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Their website, www.visitcos.com. This is the X-Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network and the X-Zone Broadcast Network. 1-800-610-7035 is toll-free worldwide. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Chelsey and I will be back on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break. Don't go away.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Shamanism is recognized as a method to access the quantum level. Mastery of shamanic skills puts spiritual information and healing power into your hands. Path Home Shamanic Art School, a bonded Colorado certified occupational school, has met rigorous state standards, ensuring its director and instructors have the qualifications to teach the shamanic arts. Path Home offers its certification program in blocks of study. Block 1, a 5-day intensive, will be held in the beautiful mountain town of Coaldale, Colorado, October 13th through 18th. Registration deadline is September 12th. Experience journey trance, power animals, helping spirits, sacred space, and life purpose. Come discover your power. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magical world of shamanism. Call 303-775-3431 or visit findyourpathhome.com.
With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. Chelsey Murphy is our special guest. Chelsey is the Public Relations Manager for Experience Colorado Springs at the Convention and Visitor Bureau. Once again, their website is www.visitcos.com. Chelsey, we hear that there are some extensive paranormal activity within the region. Where are a few locations that people can go visit, and what can they expect while they're visiting?
There's a lot of places that people can visit, kind of spread out through the area, because as you mentioned, we do cover the Pikes Peak region, which includes Colorado Springs, Manitou Springs, Cripple Creek, so there's definitely a lot of options. One of the first ones I'd really like to talk about is Briarhurst Manor Estate. And it was originally the home of Dr. Bell, who was the person who founded the town of Manitou Springs, Colorado, which is about 10 minutes west of downtown Colorado Springs. And it was really an epicenter for people suffering from tuberculosis because it had mineral springs. And so a lot of people flocked there at the time because they sought the healing powers of the mineral springs. So you kind of had that spiritual healing type of vibe going on there anyway. He built this home. Him and his wife are actually from Europe, so they built the home to come here in the summer. And eventually it turned into a private residence. A woman bought it, and then she ended up selling it to somebody. It's now turned into an event center and a fine dining restaurant. But there's a lot of history there. Manitou Springs, the town, a lot of the tuberculosis patients stayed in the hotels and things like that, so there's just a lot of presence. Now, the Briarhurst Manor estate, it was said that the woman who privately owned it at the time, she had an affinity for skeletons and kind of saving and rescuing museum artifacts where certain bones and things hadn't necessarily been buried, and she felt they weren't at peace. So she had actually kept a skeletal remains, I believe, of Egyptian times in the estate. And people have said to have seen, a woman walking around that's half skeleton and half in Victorian dress. And it's believed that that's kind of a mixture of her keeping those remains in the estate and just kind of the energy throughout the place. Now, there's been a lot of tales of children running up and down the halls and a ball bouncing down the stairs. And there's just a lot of energy at Briarhurst. So that's definitely someplace that I'd recommend people look at if they're interested. And the great thing about the estate is it offers weekly tours. So people can go and kind of get the history and the background of the estate and just, kind of get ready for an experience. And I've heard that if children are on the tour, that there's a lot more presence because some of the spirits seem to be children and they seem to be more active when there are children on the tour.
Tell me, have you gone on these tours? And if so, have you seen anything that was strange or out of the normal?
I've not been on an official tour. I have been to the estate a few times. We've done some interviews. I have not had any personal experiences, but I talk to the historic researchers there a lot. They're in charge of the tours, and they're in charge of all the research and the paranormal activity at Briarhurst Manor. And she had mentioned, they've had a few experiences, but one that really sticks out in my mind is they were eating lunch one afternoon with some people, and the spirits tend to really have an affinity for the researchers because they're there all the time. And one of them she has very long, dark hair, and it started playing with her hair. And her husband saw it, and it was kind of bouncing her hair and kind of waving all over. So it was like one of the spirits was playing with her hair.
Oh, my gosh.
So it definitely sticks out.
How frequently do people come to you at the Experience Colorado Springs at the Convention and Visitors Bureau and say, you're not going to believe this, but this happened to me, and they relate to you paranormal stories?
Working with a lot of these, the hotels and the attractions, they start to come out. The more you talk to these people, there are things that, may not be listed on a website. There are things that you may not hear about. So I just love hearing the stories and the first-hand accounts and things like that because it's something that I can talk to. And, paranormal travel is huge. So we love having that presence on our website, and I love always building up those stories. And one of the great things about Briarhurst Manor is they have a website dedicated to their experiences as well as anybody who takes the tours. They can share their photos, they can share their stories and experiences, and they can find those at hauntedbriarhurst.com. So those are kind of fun. If you don't necessarily experience something, you can go read the things that other people on the tours and the historical researchers have experienced on their own.
Now, besides haunted homes and haunted institutions, what other paranormal venues can people visit your region of Colorado for? What can they look for? For example, do you get Bigfoot sightings? Do you get UFOs?
We don't really get Bigfoot sightings, and it's kind of hard to establish any sort of UFO sightings because we are home to NORAD and 6 military bases and the United States Air Force Academy. So you never really know what's going on in the air up there.
So basically, you deal strictly with ghost hauntings and things that go bump in the night.
it just seems to be a lot more presence here. And there may be other stories, but, some of these paranormal attractions and areas just seem to really come out of the woodwork more than anything else.
How many of them are really haunted compared to how many of them use the paranormal as a marketing gimmick?
Well, it's one of those things where some people are haunted and don't necessarily want to use it as a gimmick, and they're the ones that really only use it because they see the value in it. So I think they're pretty legitimate. I mean, Briarhurst Manor was actually on Sci-Fi Channel's Ghost Hunters. I know there's a great B&B also in Manitou Springs called the Red Crags Estates, and they run a special for people who are only interested. They don't really advertise it, but people who find out about the presence and the paranormal activity and are interested in staying the night there, they offer a discount and a special, and it's kind of a Ghost Hunters special. So it's not something they really put out there, but if you know about it and are interested, it's a great discount and a way to possibly experience what goes on there.
So what are some of the other local haunts people can check out in your area?
Another great one that I think is really fun, and they offer an overnight option as well, is the Outlaws and Jailmen Museum up in Cripple Creek. And it actually served as the jail for over 90 years in Teller County, so there were many a scoundrel that ran through the building. It housed many a heathen of the gold rush, the Pikes Peak gold rush. And, they've had paranormal investigations. They've had individual independent companies come in and do investigations, and they actually have published those results online between, white noise voice recordings and, temperature, things like that. And usually every 2 or 3 months, they do a great overnight where people can pay and come and stay in one of the jail cells. They actually lock you in there overnight, which, is a little creepy, but, it can be really fun for some people who are interested.
What kind of stories have you heard coming out of those people who spent the night locked up in the haunted jail?
A lot of people here laughing. I know upstairs, they actually had a women's and a men's, so the women were housed upstairs and the men were housed downstairs, and there was a solitary confinement room upstairs, and a lot of people here laughing up there, which obviously somebody can go a little insane in solitary confinement.
Sure.
I did have an experience at the Outlaw and Jail Museum. We took a tour, and, anybody can go in and check out the museum, but if anybody's interested in the paranormal activity, they can go and ask. They're more than happy to talk about it. And there's a certain jail cell where someone was in there, and he had a pencil while he was in there, and he basically drew kind of a house. So he was stuck in the cell, and, it has bricks and a fireplace and a dog, and it's kind of interesting. So we went to go in there, and I just had an anxiety attack. I don't know. I got very claustrophobic. I don't know. I felt something, and it was kind of, I don't know. I was a little intimidated by it.
So now you say that you've always had an interest in the paranormal. Where does your interest stem from?
I'm not really sure. I think there's a lot of people that know there's something beyond the grave. You're not always what it is. So I think it's more the curiosity than anything. And I love hearing the stories. I tend to scare myself more than anything, but I'm still interested in it. Just the firsthand accounts. And I don't know. I just think if people are trying to reach us, it's just really interesting that it's even a possibility.
What's the scariest story that you've heard?
I think thankfully a lot of the knowledge that I've come across in the area isn't always scary. I think it's more the ghosts are more willing to interact, and they know that people are around. For example, Red Cheek Mountain is actually a mountain located in Manitou Springs, and a long time ago during the tuberculosis, there was a young lady called Emma Crawford, and she was only 19, and she loved hiking up the mountain, and she had been diagnosed with tuberculosis, and she was engaged at the time. Unfortunately, she didn't beat the disease and died, and her only wish was to be buried at the top of Red Cheek Mountain, which is 7,300 feet above sea level. So her fiance and 11 other men decided to carry her coffin up the mountain and bury it. But between storms and weather and years and things like that, she actually was washed out on the mountain. And people take hikes up there today and see her apparition because they say she's not really at peace. But even then, I just, I don't hear a lot of threatening things, which I think is kind of comforting because sometimes people look for those paranormal experiences and they don't always want it to be scary.
That's true. Now, your area of Colorado is, as you said, is very active. You're not that far from Denver, am I correct?
Correct, or about 60 miles south of Denver.
And you've got a lot of air traffic in the sky, as you pointed out before. Do you ever hear of people seeing strange lights in the sky that, even though they realize there are so many military possibilities, that they still believe that they've seen a UFO?
I'd say about 6 months ago, there was kind of a lot of chatter about people seeing something being similar to a UFO. But again, I feel like there's so much military presence. You just never know if it's the government or what's going on.
You and I have to take a commercial break. Please stand by. Chelsey Murphy's our special guest. www.visitcos.com. Chelsey is the public relations manager for Experience Colorado Springs at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Once again, her website, www.visitcos.com. We'll be back on the other side of this news break as the X Zone continues. Don't go away.
It was a terrifying experience.
I thought we was going to go to jail for murder.
That day, we were a little behind, so we worked until it was starting to get dark.
We loaded up the equipment and hadn't driven very far when we caught glimmers of this glow coming through the trees. I urged Mike to hurry up and get up there.
Travis had the door open before we even stopped. As he got closer, I heard the sound.
One of the guys said, "You feel that?"
I really panicked then.
I told him, "Get the hell out of here."
It didn't come directly to me, it came to a deputy sheriff.
Three of us volunteered right away to tell him what had happened.
Sheriff Gillespie definitely didn't believe it.
He says that we better be certain because we get in a lot of trouble.
When we went to search the next day, they split us up, and the whole time the deputies asked me, if you just tell us where the body is, we can all go home and get this over with.
We're talking about 100 people combing through the wooded area. Nothing turns up.
All week long, I've been hearing they're going to set it up to make you guys look guilty.
We're a rough-looking bunch then. Some of us have been in trouble with the law before.
And y'all ain't never going to come out of that jailhouse.
We couldn't get out.
I tried to sneak out the back door the day of the polygraph test. I was scared to death.
On top of that, you have media.
I literally would be on 2 telephones at the same time.
We've even got some coops in here now that's coming in and out to see the freak show, as they call it.
Everyone descends.
I just wasn't going to stand there and listen to it anymore.
Granny says, "This is Travis. I'm back. I need help." When I did hear that he had been returned, it was almost as unbelievable as the original thing.
I just looked at my mom and says, "I told you we didn't kill him."
Travis Walton reappeared after several days with a bizarre story about a ride in an unidentified flying object.
People were desperate to explain it away.
Why are you sticking up with Travis for all this time? You know this really didn't happen.
What happened to Travis after we took off in that truck, I can't tell you.
I hated Travis for a long time after this. My whole world just tore up.
But I believe every word Travis said about it. He's never lied to me about nothing.
It's a net negative. We lost our jobs in the immediate aftermath.
And now you're not able to talk about it with anyone because you know that they're going to laugh at you, they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
But if you don't come out and tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you.
There's a degree of responsibility. Certainly I have to accept the bad. If I can direct what's happened in a way that I can make something good happen in the world, I'm looking for it.
Order your copy of Travis, The True Story of Travis Walton, today at www.traviswaltonthemovie.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Chelsey Murphy is our special guest Exonation. She is the Public Relations Manager for Experience Colorado Springs at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And her website is www.visitcos.com. You know, Chelsey, with all the gold rush activity that you must have had in that area, are there any gold mines or areas that where the old prospectors still haunt the woods or the caves?
You know, I would definitely say Cripple Creek is kind of an epicenter. There is an old school that's turned into a bed and breakfast called Carr Manor, and there have just been, you know, mentions of things going on, people seeing apparitions, and again, with the Pikes Peak Gold Rush, there's a lot. I mean, between the miners and Old Colorado City is just about 5 minutes west of us, and it was actually kind of considered the capital of Colorado before it was considered a state, and it was pretty much 21 bars. So you're talking a bunch of Gold Rush miners drinking themselves crazy. So there's just definitely a lot of option for the type of miners to be around. So again, Cripple Creek, just between the streets and the casinos, there's an old brothel there that, you know, people say the wallpaper changes colors and, you know, they hear screams and things like that. Also, down in Canyon City, there's a place called Buckskin Joe's Frontier Town and Railway, and it was the old railway. And that was really just kind of a place of gunfights and things like that. So that was a really huge area for that type of activity. It's now turned into an attraction in the 1950s, but some of the original buildings remain from that time. And there have been a lot of stories of things kind of lurking in the shadows in the town, especially when the sun goes down. Mm-hmm. The Lincoln Theater, which is part of the attraction, is in the middle of town, and it's pretty much considered, the center of all the netherworld activity due to the fact that it was the place used for public executions and hangings. Mm-hmm. And during the winter, they couldn't bury the bodies, so they had to use it for storage for the bodies during the winter. So that's definitely a place that people feel is very, very charged,
yes.
and they see things there at night.
It certainly sounds as if your area is very rich in history. Tell us, if you can, a bit of the history of the Colorado Springs area.
Colorado Springs was actually founded in 1871 by William Jackson Palmer, and he was a Civil War general hero, and he was part of the Rio Grande Railroad, mm-hmm. and so he was kind of searching around the lands, and he obviously dealt a lot in Denver, and he had come down to the Colorado Springs area and basically just saw it and said, this is going to be a resort town. So we were founded strictly as a resort town. He wanted his wife to move from Europe and stay here. He wanted his friends to come and just experience the area. So, really just founded as a tourist attraction, but it was a pretty interesting crossroads considering, you had the miners, which is the rough and tumble, and they're here for the Pikes Peak Gold Rush, and then you kind of have the uppity European people coming here for vacation. Mm-hmm. And then we also had, Native Americans still, residing on the lands near Garden of the Gods Park and Manitou Springs. So it was just a huge cultural crossroads, and I think leaves a lot of room for interpretation and a lot of room for energy.
Now, besides the paranormal aspect of Colorado Springs, because it's been my experience that within a family, it's very rare to see mom, dad, and the kids all heading off to the paranormal sites. Let's say mom and dad are interested in the paranormal, or either mom or dad are. What else is there in Colorado Springs for the other members of the family to enjoy their stay while mom and dad are ghost hunting?
We're a huge family destination, and like I had mentioned before, we're home to 50-plus attractions and activities. Things like the Olympic Training Center, the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, which is America's only mountain zoo, the United States Air Force Academy, Seven Falls, Cave of the Winds, just a huge place for activity. There's just so much to do, whether it's free activities, whether it's a tour of Patsy's Candy. Again, there's just, people come here and they always want to extend their time because they don't realize that there's so much to do in the area. And we actually have our own airport. So not everybody knows that. Very easy to get to, very easy to drive to. And like I had mentioned before, 300 days of sunshine, it's very easy to get outside.
Unreal. I'm sure there's, besides the regular accommodations there, are there a lot of campgrounds in the area, national parks?
We actually have 2 state parks in the area, not national parks. We have Cheyenne Mountain State Park, which is one of the newest Colorado state parks, mm-hmm. and Mueller State Park. And yes, we have a ton of RV and campgrounds. We're right here on the Rocky Mountains. We're home to Pikes Peak. So whether you want to go up in the mountains and brave it on your own or go to, say, Garden of the Gods campground, there's plenty of options for families to find, areas to camp or park an RV.
Exonation, our special guest this hour is Chelsey Murphy. Chelsey is the Public Relations Manager for Experience Colorado Springs at the Convention and Visitor Bureau. Their website is www.visitcos.com. That's www.visitcos.com. Chelsey, do you think that as time goes by, more and more establishments are going to come forward with paranormal stories and open their haunted areas up to the public?
I definitely think so because, again, it started to form. It's not necessarily a trend, but I think it's just something that people are interested in. They're going to continue to be interested in. And some of these places that may know of their history, they're going to kind of realize that, hey, listen, this is something that people want to see, want to hear about. We can still have our regular attraction and business, but we can still cater to those types of travelers. And I'm really just kind of putting it out there that we want to know about that stuff. And, it's just something that I think isn't going to go away. And, there is a rich history here.
Sure.
And I think people need to capitalize on that.
Over the years, I've learned that many of the credible members of the paranormal community, whether they're parapsychologists or whether they're people who have an interest in investigating the paranormal, what they're actually doing, Chelsey, is they're enriching the area's history, because the paranormal involves history.
I completely agree. And a funny thing about that is the historical research department at Briarhurst Manor, it's a husband and wife team, and they have told me personally that some of the things they have found out about the estate, like some articles and books and people that have called them, are just unreal, and there's got to be something helping them, because they're telling me that some of these things that they have found, I believe a grandson of one of the Bells contacted them out of the blue when he hadn't even referenced his family in 50 years. So just very funny things that are kind of leading the way, because they're so interested in the history, but they also realize that there's a paranormal aspect to it. It's almost like the spirits, the more they find out about them, they're kind of helping them find out more about the estate. So I just think that's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it certainly is, because people want to know, and whether it's going through cemeteries and looking at grave markers, trying to establish a timeline, or whether it's going into a region investigating the paranormal, what you're actually doing is you're going back in the time-space continuum and investigating and researching the very events that brought the paranormal event, if you'll excuse the expression, to life.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I think it's such an important part that a lot of people overlook, or if they don't believe in it, that they're kind of missing out on a lot of what really happened.
What do the local businesses and merchants think about the paranormal aspect of Colorado Springs?
I think a lot of people are very in tune with it. There's at least two companies that offer ghost walking tours all the time. So again, like I said, a lot of that stuff ramps up around October because everybody's trying to capitalize on it. But, we have a downtown ghost walking tour. I know the Manitou Springs Heritage Center is always offering things like that. They like to go visit the graveyard. They like to talk about the history. And one thing that I think our community really embraces is kind of that history and paranormal aspect. They don't overlook one over the other. And, one of the great things is, with these tours, they embody some of, they act out to pretend to be some of the characters of the time, and then kind of allude to some of the stories. And so I just feel like they embrace both, and that helps tell a much better story. But I feel like we have a few, investigative companies, so it's not like people are like, oh, that doesn't exist here, we don't want to know about it. We have a few, individual companies and teams that will even go out and do investigations for free just because they want to know what's in the area. So I really think it embraces the paranormal.
Do you also have in Colorado Springs a New Age community where people can go to certain stores for their spiritual needs? I'm not talking about theological needs, I'm talking about spiritual needs. And do you find the members of the First Nations also getting involved with the richness of the history when it comes to their ancestors and the spiritual side?
Definitely, and I would really highlight Manitou Springs in that aspect. Manitou Springs, Colorado, it's, a beautiful little mountain town, but very eclectic, very in tune with kind of spiritual and healing, no matter what the background or the interest. There's, some great boutiques down there, whether it's, spice stores. I know there's special kind of, not the spiritual bookstores, not necessarily religious associated. Again, the mineral springs are still scattered around town that are the runoff from the mountain that the town was founded on, and the Native Americans, believed that those springs had healing powers.
Yes.
So to have those kind of up and centered just shows that they really value, what kind of the ancestors believed to the area. And, there's some very, Cave of the Winds was discovered, and that's a very, they've preserved that area and give tours of the area. And Garden of the Gods Park, which is a huge geological treasure to the area and free to the public, was an area where the Native Americans would come down from the mountains in the winter and kind of be protected. And I would just say there's a huge presence. A lot of those natural landmark and attractions really try to give credit to the first generation people that were here. Whenever they have any sort of celebration, they always invite prayers, Native American prayers and things like that. So I just think everybody tries to be very in tune with the presence that was here before the town was founded, and I definitely feel that people can fulfill their spiritual needs.
Chelsey, what is the population of Colorado Springs?
It's about 385,000.
Wow, that's a fair size. And
yeah, definitely.
And would you say that tourism is your number one industry?
It's our number 3 industry behind military and defense, but it's huge. I mean, again, we were founded as a resort town, and we still really cater to that group.
How many different resorts do you have in Colorado Springs?
I believe we have 15,000 guest rooms in the area. I don't know the actual number of resorts, but we have 7 very large ones, including the Broadmoor, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with.
No, I'm not.
It is the longest running 5-diamond, 5-star hotel in the United States. So a lot of history there, very kind of old luxury. And, we have great new things coming online. We have a great boutique hotel that's being built right now downtown called the Mining Exchange Hotel, and it was the old exchange building for the gold assayers. So that's a great addition to the area, opening at the end of the year. Like I said, whether it's full-service hotels or great little B&Bs, or even like you mentioned, campgrounds and RV parks, there's a ton of options as far as what people are looking for.
It certainly seems in Colorado Springs there's something for everyone, that no matter whether you're going to be investigating a haunting or the sighting of an old prospector or just enjoying the richness of the history of the Colorado Springs and area, it seems that there certainly is something for everyone there.
It sounds like a cliche, but we really do use that term because it's true. Whether you're families, couples, interested in the paranormal, there's always something people can find to do here.
One of my producers just sent me a note wanting to know if there were any good sporting activities around.
Oh, we're actually considered the amateur sporting capital of the United States just because we're so in tune. We're consistently named one of the healthiest cities in the U.S., just because people have so much access to outdoors and things like that. In the summer we have 2 wonderful rodeos, the Pikes Peak Bus Rodeo, and I believe this year is its 70th year, and the Ride for the Brand Championship Rodeo. And have you ever heard of the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's an amazing event. People come from obviously all over the world, and there is a highway that was built that goes up to the summit of Pikes Peak, and that's 14,115 feet, and only half of it is paved. So people come in rally cars, bikes, trucks, and they basically go to the top as fast as they can. There's no guard halfway up, and it's a dirt road up a 14,000-foot mountain. So it's a little intense.
Chelsey, stand by. You and I have to take our final break. Exo Nation Chelsey Murphy is our special guest, and there you go, a great destination for all our paranormal inquisitors that we have here listening to us around the world. That's Colorado Springs. Chelsey is the public relations manager for Experience Colorado Springs at the Convention and Visitor Bureau. Her website is www.visitcos.com. Chelsey and I will be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
What happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. Exonation, my special guest this hour is Chelsey Murphy. She is the Public Relations Manager for Experience Colorado Springs at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And her website is www.visitcos.com. That's www.visitcos.com. Tell me, do you have any deals for people who are contemplating and taking a vacation after they've heard this interview and they want to go to Colorado Springs to see all the haunted places you and I have talked about?
Yeah, we're running some great deals and packages right now, and it's something we're calling Savings with an Altitude. Mm-hmm. We've brought together all of our area members, whether it's lodging, dining, activities, and attractions, and we've asked them to give us coupons and discounts, and we've put them all in one place, and it's, again, visitcos.com/deals. And people can go and book hotels, B&Bs, campgrounds. There's a ton of discounts and savings, and we've made it to where everybody can print them out and just take advantage of all of them at the same time.
And I would imagine that if anyone is planning a convention or a group, they can give you a call at the Experience Colorado Springs at the Convention and Visitor Bureau.
Definitely. We help with whatever people need as far as conventions and meetings, family reunions. We're a free service that is just here to help anybody planning coming to the area.
And is there a phone number that we can give out?
Yes, it's 719-635-7506.
So that's 719-635-7506.
Correct.
Chelsey, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight here in the X Zone. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. What message would you like to leave with the X Zone Nation when it comes to the paranormal?
Just that we're a great area to visit, and anybody looking for that type of experience, we definitely have it. Again, we're kind of the original resort town, so I don't think anybody will be disappointed if they come to the area, whether it's paranormal related or not.
Well, I'm sure, Chelsey, if everyone is as charming and as warm as you are, people who visit Colorado Springs are in for a great treat.
Oh, well, thank you.
Chelsey, give everybody your contact information one more time, please.
Sure. It's Chelsey, CHELSY, at visitcos.com, and you can find us on visitcos.com, and our phone numbers are all there, and we just have some great information for anybody who's interested.
And once again, X Zone Nation, if you'd like to plan or organize something at Colorado Springs, I'm sure Chelsey would be more than happy to help you out. She is the PR manager of the Colorado Springs Convention and Visitor Bureau. Once again, her telephone number is area code 719-635-7506, and her website, www.visitcos.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Once again, my information is xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv at hotmail.com, and our websites, www.xzoneradiotv.com. And you can listen and watch old shows of the X Zone by going to www.xzonetv.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break at 6.5 minutes past the hour. Don't go away.